All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Tuesday Notaries Heightens. Today is Tuesday, October 5th, 2021. My name is Bill Soroka. I'm the author of Sign and Thrive, How to Make Six Figures as a Mobile Notary and Loan Signing Agent. And I'm the host of the Side Hustle Lounge podcast, where we talk about legitimate income opportunities, the mindset it takes to make those a success, and then how we celebrate those successes through relationships and adventure. Speaking of adventure, I am in Oregon now. I think we're going on the third week. Right now, I'm in a little town called Nessica Beach in an Airstream trailer with hopefully strong enough internet to get me through this lesson. But I am recording to the cloud. So as long as Jennifer or Laura are on today's call, we're going to be good to go. Guys, we got a very special episode today. We have been promising after Carol Ray left the show in August that we would be introducing new co-hosts to pop in and help support you and us throughout this process. And today, our first co-host is with us, Jennifer Neitzel of Signing Agent Marketing. Jennifer, thank you so much. You want to come on and introduce yourself and all the great stuff you do?
Thank you for having me, Bill. I appreciate that. And it's really been a long time since anybody said that I was the first of anything. So that's great. Hey, everybody. I'm Jen Neitzel. I am the founder of Signing Agent Marketing, which is a subscription service that teaches folks like us, NSAs, loan signing agents, whatever you want to call us, how to market directly to title companies. Looks like Laura just hopped on. We don't teach you how to notarize anything. We don't teach you what the documents look like. We teach you one thing and one thing only, and that is how to go direct to title, because that's where the money is. So hopefully you guys get a chance to learn some stuff about marketing directly to an escrow office or attorney's office if you live in an attorney state. And if not, I am always around to answer any questions. So I'm excited to be on today. Thank you so much for inviting me, Bill.
My pleasure, Jen. Jen and I met actually a great example of cultivating a relationship. I happened to be in Dallas for a Legalshield event, I believe, and we kind of just tacked on a little notary meet and greet and cosmopolitan hour. And Jen drove all the way over and just we got to meet, hang out, and then just continue the relationship. And now we have an awesome working collaboration and partnership, and I'm looking forward to even more. Guys, I think Laura Biewer is on now. Yeah. Laura Biewer, how are you, Laura?
Hey, I am good. I had a few technical difficulties getting on, but it's all good now. Everything is just fabulous and improving. I just really like that phrase. And I'm excited that Jen is joining us today. I too am collaborating with Jennifer, and she's going to be one of our symposium speakers or presenters coming up next month. So we still have a few seats left. If you haven't made that choice, you might want to be thinking about that right now, because as I slow down and I don't have any more seats to sell, that's it. So you might want to consider getting that done. Go to notarysymposium.com, and that's where you can go check that out. So I'm so glad that she's going to be here today. And I was actually doing something she talks about. Just finished talking with a title officer at a small boutique title company. She gave me 45 minutes of her time.
Wow.
I'm right. Jennifer, does that ever happen?
That is incredible. No, that never happened. So
yeah, she actually, I reached out to her, then she reached back. She said, hey, why don't we go to coffee? There's a Starbucks nearby. We set an appointment and 45 minutes. And it turned out to be an incredible appointment, because not only did she want me to be part of her signing agent team, she was really interested in all the other coaching and services I offer, because a lot of their people are notaries as well. And yes. So it was a twofer.
That's amazing.
It was a great meeting.
That's amazing. And honestly, Laura, I mean, that's such a great, I haven't even really thought about this. You've got my wheels turning, as you always do, you and Bill. Every time I talk to you guys, my wheels just start turning. You would be surprised, well, I don't think you would be surprised, but I think a lot of people would be surprised at how little people that work in a title office are actually aware of notary laws in their state.
Yeah.
I am continually blown away that some of the title offices I work in tell me frequently, why are you filling in, when it says to print your name underneath, why are you doing that? Why are you putting your expiration, handwriting the expiration of your commission when it clearly says it on your stamp? And I'm like, because I know how to do my job right. And so they really don't know. So that's a great avenue for you with teaching even people that work in title offices the importance of what we do.
Right. And a lot of times they just they don't see the hard copies anymore of the IDs. They just see photocopies. There's a lot that they are not in touch with when they don't do the work because it's all been shipped out to mobile notaries.
Yes.
And then the other part of that I'm really excited about is she doesn't just want me to address the title people. They put on, of course, realtors, that's their customers, right? They want the realtors to come. They have an association and they put on educational events for the realtors. That's where she wants me to speak as well.
That's amazing.
So it was just a great meeting. Both of us were like, hey, wait, I'm not done yet. But the 45 minutes was up. She had an appointment. I had to come here. So it will be continued. So just really exciting, guys. We talk about doing this because we know it works. And I want you to know we have to keep doing it. It's not like I did it and it's already one and done. And now I have all the work in the world and, everything is just waiting for me on a silver platter. I have to continue to nurture and to build new relationships. Because I don't know. And you know what she told me? She said, I usually don't reach out to people who reach out to me on Alignable because that's where it was. But your profile looked kind of interesting. You were a little different from the normal notary signing agent. And I thought, I don't know what will come of this, but let me just meet with you and just see what happens. That was her lying to me. And I thought, that's mine lying to you.
Yes.
I wasn't there to get a job as a signing agent. That wasn't my purpose at all. And so it was fabulous.
That's great. You please keep me posted on how that goes. Cause I think that might be a new avenue for you in beautiful California, talking to some of these title companies and all of the continuing education that they always sponsor for realtors. I mean, it's a great niche market. So good for you. I'm excited to hear how this is a few months from now.
All right. Well,
okay,
guys,
Bill.
This is a really great demonstration of what we talk about all the time when we talk about finding ways to add value to relationships. Mm-hmm. And we might think, well, of course, Laura could do it. Laura's an expert. But guess what? Every one of you has the opportunity to be an expert in your state, because what Jennifer just highlighted was that a lot of the people who hire us, that we almost just automatically put them on a pedestal that they know more than we do, don't actually know more than we do. They were probably hired and onboarded and they were trained by an escrow officer who's been doing it for 30 years. They've been doing the same thing the wrong way, or maybe even illegal or out of integrity, but it's just because that's the way it's always been done. You can find tremendous ways to bring value to these types of relationships when you think bigger about the role that you play here. Awesome way to kick off TNT, guys. You know how this call works. This is like an old-fashioned call-in radio show, except we got video. So when Jennifer's going to play the part of me and Laura, we're going to tag team your questions. Sometimes we'll just pass it over to Jen, pass it over to Laura, or I'll take a few myself and go from there. And when we call on you, yes.
I'm sorry, Bill. The one thing I did not get to announce, because I don't think you had a chance either, was Michigan.
Yeah, I was going to do it midway through. If that's
okay, well, we can wait.
We got a whole. Well, since you brought it up, let's do it right now and do that. But let me finish my train of thought real quick. Guys, whenever we call on you, you're going to use the raise hand feature in Zoom. We're going to call on you. You tell us what state you're in. That's really helpful and extremely important in this work. And then get right to your question. Go right to your question. If Laura, Jen, or myself need some more backup information, we'll ask some probing questions and we'll get there. Just get right to your question so we can get as many as possible. And then what Laura was just bringing up, guys, we're doing these real world notary trainings. Laura is doing these incredible trainings to help you interpret your state guidelines and actually apply it in the real world, like how to do that. In Michigan, you are up. You are the next state coming up this Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you use, I'm going to post the link inside the website, but it is coachmelaura.com/MI for Michigan. I'm going to type that in there. If you use coupon code PEEPS, that's PEEPS, you can save $70 on that group training. Guys, we're already we're over halfway sold out. There's only 35 seats left for this training, or maybe we have a little more than a little less than halfway. But if you want to join us, now's the time to grab your seat. You have to be live present. It's not pre-recorded. There's no replay. You've got to be there live on the call for 2 hours, starting at 10 a.m. on Saturday. But it is training that will change your life. All right. How was that, Laura?
That was beautiful. Thank you.
And I'll announce it a little later too when we get to the halfway mark. Let's jump in. Let's answer some questions. Debbie, you have been so patient with your hand up. I saw that even before the strike of noon. How can we help today?
Are you asking for Debbie Gillis?
I am asking for Debbie
Okay.
Gillis. Welcome. What state are you in?
Wasn't sure. I am in Florida, Bill. I am still a new notary, but however, I am getting some under my belt. I think I have 22 now. And I've been to Laura's class for Florida. I'm still in the stage where I'm asking particular questions about situations that are happening at my closings. And I seem to be having a little difficulty with signatures. So a couple of questions on signatures. First of all, and I know I've seen a lot of stuff on Facebook, but I don't really trust all of it. When someone wants to scribble their name, I had a Russian couple, it seems to be people out of the country, create their signatures and they want to use that, but yet I'm telling them to sign as it says below the line. And I felt like I was on Who's on First, Who's on Second with a lady the other day. So is it okay for them to do this scribbling thing that you cannot decipher?
Yeah, great question, Debbie. And I know this is one of the great challenges, especially in loan signings. Laura, you have a great way of describing this. Would you like to jump in first?
Sure. I let them know that here's how the document is instructing you to sign. I see your full name. That's the expectation. And then whatever they sign, if they do a scribble, then so be it, because it's not my place to describe further how they should be signing. That is the unauthorized practice of law for a notary. We certainly can pass on the instruction from title or from the document itself, and then it's up to the signer to decide how they're going to make that work. If I see a scribble, I will ask, does that include all of that? And when they say, yep, that's all of it, I say, okay, and I move on.
Okay, all right.
So, and I would just tag team that and say exactly that. And what I double check, just because I can tell if I'm going to have a problem with a lender, right? Sometimes, and this is for loan signings, because on general notary work or specialty notary work, this is less of a concern. But on loan signings, sometimes the lenders get weird. But if that signature on the ID matches the signature that they're signing with, that's usually means that we're going to be just fine, as long as there's some documentation that this is this person. There are some exceptions to that. Provident Lending is one of the strictest lenders out there, and they get really particular about some of those things. And some of them they get weird like that. But that's just a general rule of thumb. If the signature matches the ID, you're usually pretty good to go.
Okay. And I am noticing that some of them are repeating it several times in their instructions, and I know that for them it's kind of a hill to die on. Okay, second question, Bill, is I had a situation where the gentleman wanted to argue with me because he'd said he'd done a closing recently. I guess they'd refinanced, but they did not want to have the two witnesses. And Laura, I'm in Florida, so we know, and I know I can sign as one, but I just said to him, well, let's call your title company. And the gal actually, he put her on speaker, got on the phone. She said to him, yes, you do have to. I don't care what you did the last time. And she started the conversation like that. And midstream, he intimidated her, and she backed down and said it was okay to have one witness and it could be the notary. Heard it happen, and I was sitting there going, oh my gosh. So I don't know what I let him sign, and I witnessed, and I know that I wasn't supposed to do that. Should I have actually called it quits on that and had him reschedule, or what?
Yeah. So, first of all, the witnessing part is a recording requirement, not a notary requirement. So that wouldn't prevent me from moving on if title said, okay, we can get by with one, because one witness can be the notary. If they decide they don't need the second one, I'd be documenting, this is who was on the phone. Everybody was on the phone, and the title person said, don't need it, because if the recorder's office rejects it for not having the second witness, then that could be an issue. And they'll have to deal with that issue, even if it means having to come back and do it again. But I wouldn't be fighting with the title company if the title and the signer, finally come to an agreement, and that's what they're going to do. Then, that's not my lane to get in there. Recording issues are not my lane.
I clarified with them that, and made them repeat it, that it was okay, that was what they were saying, and I got the person's name and I put it in my journal. It made me feel like maybe they were going to do that at their office or something. I don't know. I didn't feel good about it. And I know it's for recording, and I thought I understood that if it wasn't actually changing hands, the property, it was a refi, that was going to be okay for recording. I had heard that too.
Yes.
And, Florida had some witnessing requirement changes for their deeds. And the 2-witness requirement is a requirement for like grant deeds, quitclaim deeds, interspousal deeds, grant deeds, those kinds of deeds. But I don't believe it's still a requirement now on the deed of trust. Now, I would need to jump out and go look up the recording law for Florida, but I believe that was the change there. And so that might be why she backed down. I don't know if he was quoting law or he knew the recording law, but that could have been another issue going on.
No, he was Russian.
He didn't know anything, but
he was from out of the country.
But you bring up something that I think is important for notaries to know, not just in this situation. There are other laws going on that are at play, and some of them are recording laws. And that's why certain notarial acts are required versus other ones. That's why it's not okay to replace an acknowledgement with a jurat. There may be other things, like when we handle powers of attorney and wills, there's probate law or other laws that discuss what the requirements are, witnesses versus notaries and notaries. There are health and safety codes in different states that determine whether or not an ombudsman's required when I notarize a document. So we can't live in our little bubble of, I know my stuff. We need to realize that the kind of document we're handling may have something else impacting that.
I understand. Let me just ask one final question. Thank you, Laura. On the Patriot Act, I know that the lender will most of the time say to me 2 forms of ID are required, and I have the list of what's to be blah blah. But my question is, do I actually have to get copies of both forms of ID to place in the packet, or just the primary one, or is it just up to the title what they're what they want? Is that second form of ID necessary to get a copy?
I'll let Bill or Jen catch that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll jump in there and say that it's a hiring company decision. Some companies ask me to do that, and some don't ask me. Jen, in your experience, what do you say?
So the actual Patriot Act form that you get, title companies have their identification. I'm sure you've all seen this. They have their identification paperwork, but the Patriot Act form is actually a lender document. So I think best practice is to have a copy of both. If I use a bank card or something like that, when I make a copy of it, I black out all but the last 4 digits. I've never had, I don't know if that's because it is a secondary ID. I'm showing the person's name and verifying that, yes, it matches their driver's license. And I have identified this person. But if you're going to make a copy of, it's better to copy both than just the one.
Okay, thank you. I had a closing yesterday and the lady was an attorney and she had only copied the driver's license and was providing me that. And anyway, it's okay. Go ahead to someone else. Thank you very
All right,
much.
thank you, Debbie. Great questions.
Okay.
All right. Jessica Travis from California, thanks for being here. How can we help today?
Hi, I have a question. I'm pretty new, and most of the per diem interest charge forms have already been filled in, but I've had a couple that leave the option up to the signer. And I tell them that I can't tell them which one to select, but I want to be able to explain it better. So I'm wondering, how do you tell them which
Great
one is
question.
best for them to check?
Well, that's a great question, Jessica, and we cannot tell them what is best for them. We can't advise at all, but we talked about this last week. So in the interest of saving time, Jessica, I'm going to ask you to watch last week's
Okay.
replay of
Yeah, I think I
TNT.
missed half of it.
Yeah,
I
no
came
problem,
in
no
late.
problem. No
All right,
problem.
I will
It's
rewatch it.
there for you there.
Okay.
Yep, no problem. And that is the bane of all California notaries' existence. So it's not
Okay.
just you. Trust me.
Okay, great.
All right, thank you so much.
No problem. Thanks.
Randy Venters, thank you so much for being here. What's going on in Washington and how can we help?
Well, since Jen's here, I have two questions. First question for Jen is, so I was on a Clubhouse call on Saturday talking about signing order, but I think it applies to direct marketing as well. Does saying you're Fidelity approved or you work for Amrock or Service Link, does that really hold a lot of weight with title companies that you're marketing to in general? And is that a good thing to boast, or does that not really matter?
I guess that really depends on what title company you're going to. Fidelity and First American Title, two different companies, are the largest title underwriters in the country. And so most smaller title companies, local title companies, will farm out the underwriting of that particular policy to either First American or Fidelity. So in that regard, it is important. What's more important before you go talk to these places is to make sure you're vetted with that particular company you're talking to. And what that means is that you have been approved to work in their for their company. Whether you're Fidelity approved or not, they're still going to want you to be approved with their particular company. There's no point in walking into a Stewart Title to market your business and not be approved to work there. You kind of want to do that vetting legwork first. And just for everyone on the call, the best way to do that is to go to the company's corporate office page. If you can find who's in charge of vendor management, that's the person you need to talk to. If it's not something you can easily find on their corporate page, call the main number and ask who's in charge of vendor management, talk to that person and find out what they need from you to be approved to work for their company.
All right, and if I can ask a follow-up to that.
Sure.
So last week, I had a direct client that I work with all the time, and they were buying a new property, and Chicago Title was doing the title work. And so Chicago Title asked if I was approved for them, and I said, no, not yet. What do I need to do? But I said, I've done signings for your company before. And he said, oh, well, you're not on our list. I can't use you. And so he went out and found another notary. But then an hour after I got his email saying I can't use you, I got a Chicago Title signing through a signing service.
The signing services do not know where your approval lies. They just know that you are a certified signing service. It's up to the individual title company to determine what their rules are for hiring that mobile notary, and it's your job to meet those requirements. Interestingly enough, Chicago Title is owned by Fidelity Title. It's one of their companies that they own, so it's basically Fidelity Title. Are you Fidelity approved?
Yes.
Okay, so in that regard, that needs to be your answer. I am Fidelity approved. Now, he still can tell you, no, you have to be approved with this branch of Chicago Title, which that may be their right, that's their right to say. But in the future, if that comes up, Chicago is owned by Fidelity, and you can let them know that you are Fidelity approved.
Okay. I went on Chicago's website and they have their own paperwork they want you to fill out.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. And that's all basically the same stuff. They want to see your commission, your E&O, which, by the way, if you're going to market directly to title, needs to be a minimum of $100,000. Don't even walk in and try with 25 because they're not going to hire you. They want somebody that has a more robust E&O policy. They want to see your background check. They need a W-9. Are you raising your hand, Bill, or swatting something away?
Sorry, swatting the fly.
It's okay. I was like, am I saying something wrong?
I'm not tripping.
So yeah,
one thing at a time.
it's a really good idea before you start getting out there to market to these.
Yeah,
folks.
he showed us how to, or showed Johnny how to open. Because I said it took 2
Uh-oh.
It's a really good idea to just take a day, really, create a zip file where you've got all of your commission and everything in there that you need, and just get it off to these title companies. And it could be an instant approval. It might take them a week, depending on how robust their vendor management department is. But don't waste your time marketing to somebody if you haven't been approved to work in their office yet.
All right, thank you. And then I had a question for Bill and Laura.
You're welcome. Great question.
Thank you. Bill and Laura, so I've been doing for a local attorney, he's been giving me jobs to go out and have notarize his retainer documents, and then for auto accidents, and then releases for doctors and those types of things. I've been meeting with some of these people and I'm like, well, I don't understand what this says. And so I've been telling them, well, you need to read it or you need to call the attorney's office. Is there anything I can really tell them about what the document says without being in that line of jeopardizing of practicing of law?
Yeah, you can give them an overall understanding by saying this document says that you agree to work with them, that you're retaining their services. That's why you're signing this. I don't have to go into the details of the information they have to provide, but that's the purpose of that. And then there's sometimes a release of claim, release of all claims. I think that's the other document because I've done those several times. And that would say, here's the settlement amount and you're not getting anything else. This is the whole deal. And a lot of times I get them as a package, those two. Sometimes I'm just doing one and sometimes I'm just doing the retainer. But I don't think it's our place to explain a 5-6 page document of, tell me the details of the accident, tell me this, tell me that. My job is to collect a signature. Hey, this is information between you and the attorney. If you feel like you don't understand or you don't want to have to use them as an attorney, you need to be making a call.
Okay, because like on some of the patient ones, I'm like, okay, it's saying ask for your name, but ask for your, your insurance ID number. Like, is it okay to guide them even with that as saying this is what it's asking for?
Yeah, you could refer them always back to the document if there's a particular section that they don't understand versus I don't understand the whole document. That's two different questions. If they don't understand a section, I would look to see, well, are there some instructions that help us know what would go there? And then I would look for the instructions if they're there, and I could point out, what, right here, it says this is what they are expecting you to do.
Okay, because the one I really got stuck on was one yesterday, was a power of attorney where it had 2 clauses saying that, he's giving up the power of attorney to the attorney to process paperwork for him and then to deposit funds for him. And the guy was just like, I'm not signing any power of attorney. I'm not giving up any of my rights. And I said, okay, I understand that. Do you want to try to call the attorney? And then he tried to call the attorney and there was nobody in the attorney's office to help him. And, and he's like, well, I'm not giving up this. And I wanted to say, well, line 1 says that you're just authorizing them to file paperwork for you and to receive checks for you.
And that's all that is.
Okay.
I mean, you don't have to go any further. If sometimes you can just pick a line in the document that describes what the purpose of the document. People are mistaken. They think, Cynthia.
Before
when they sign a power of attorney, they're giving up rights. It's Cynthia. There we go. They're giving up rights, but you're never giving up your right. When you're signing a power of attorney, you're sharing the power of your signature with another party. That's really what you want.
Sorry, Cynthia, you keep unmuting. I'm going to have to take that away here. Let's do this. All right, there we go. Sorry about that.
All right. So, Randy, did you get my answer?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
And Randy, I think that really demonstrates an important skill set as you're building your business. If you find that there are these specialty niches that you are going to be working in and you see repetitive documents. For example, like Laura always says, loan signings is a specialty niche within the notary public industry, right? So the way I did it is, my first couple of years, I was stressed out. I was explaining documents all differently. And then I said, wait a minute, there's a way to get better at this, a way to systemize these signings. So I read all of these loan packages word for word through the documents. And I said, okay, how can I describe this? I see this all the time. I see a deed of trust, see the settlement statement, see the closing disclosure all the time. How can I explain this so that it helps answer questions before they get asked, and I can point out where they can find information that I know might be important to them, and then make it an efficient signing so it accomplishes things and people feel that they feel like they've gotten something out of it. And this is part of the value that you bring to the table. So when you hear people talking about how they present documents, like in living trust appointments, they're presenting some of those documents very similar to a loan signing, but they're describing them, they're guiding the process through. That's adding value to the transaction. That's why there's notaries that charge significantly more. This is not about sign, date, stamp a piece of paper. This is about a presentation. And in those types of appointments, Randy, you have the opportunity to do that. Your attorney is going to love that. If you can find a way that briefly describes the document and guides the signer through the process with less phone calls to that attorney, they're going to appreciate that. Your signers are going to appreciate that too. But here's the other thing, right? There's always somebody, there's 1% of your appointments that are going to get jammed up. They're worried about the government watching them. They're worried about people stealing their rights and their stuff. They're going to be argumentative about everything. So be careful to create policies and procedures for 1% of the population. Focus on the majority, a brief description or system in your appointments that works for the majority of them. Every now and then you're going to get gummed up by a curveball, but that's okay. Most of your appointments will run the same way when you figure these things out. Great question, Randy. I love that. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, real quick announcement, guys. We're about halfway through the show, and I just want to remind everybody that coming up on Thursday, Daniel Brewer is leading his Toastmasters for notaries called the Notary Masters Group. I'm going to post the link inside the chat window. You can register. You don't have to register, but I encourage you to attend at 9:30 in the morning on Thursday, just to get a demonstration of what Toastmasters is all about. Toastmasters completely changed my life. It helps us do public speaking and present better. And guess what we do when we just talked about this? We do all day long as we present documents. We present to a customer, and whether there's 100 people in the room or 2 people in the room, you can, if you can articulate your thoughts better, you get smoother, more efficient signings. So I'll post the link in there for you, and I know that Daniel would love it if he joins there. All right, Jennifer Schmidt, thank you so much for being here. Would you like to unmute and tell us how we can help?
Hi, Jennifer from Monterey, California. I am looking at a modification affidavit, a general notary work customer signing called me direct for this. Now, my question on the affidavit is, it's set up with state of and county of at the top, typical affidavit, goes through all the items, and at the bottom it says signed and sworn to before me, with an area for date, their signatures, and my signature. Now, as a California notary, my first impulse is to go ahead and attach a California jurat to that because of the wording, signed and sworn, even though the jurat typically says subscribed and sworn. Is there a difference? Is this just an oath, or is this an actual jurat request?
Would you like me to jump in on that, Bill?
Yeah, please, Laura, go for it ahead.
So the first two-part question there, two-part answer. First one, subscribed and signed are the same thing. However, as Bill says many times, it doesn't have to make sense why it's important to have subscribed instead of signed. The reason it has to be subscribed and not signed is because California law says you will use the California jurat format for every single jurat you perform, regardless of state. So it's not good enough to say signed and sworn. Oh, and there's actually another part of your question, which is, could this just be an oath? The reason it's not just an oath is because you're verifying the signature and they're swearing. So there's two pieces to your certification in this case. So I would replace it with the California jurat, so you're in compliance and you've certified both issues. Make sense?
That does. That was my take on it until another notary looked at it and confused me with her take as being an oath, and I kind of argued, no, it's a jurat. So this helps me cement it in my mind. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for being here, Jennifer. And then let's see. Also, guys, as you know, about 1:05 p.m., almost every Tuesday, right after Tuesday Notary Titans, Phil Shannon, our Legalshield expert and friend, runs a live Zoom call right after this to show you ways that you can protect your businesses or your business, have access to legal help whenever you need it, plus possibly also have additional revenue stream in your business. Legalshield fits almost perfectly with our business industry, and many of us, including Laura, myself, Jen, I don't know if you are not.
Jennifer too.
Jennifer too. See, we.
I am too. Hi, Phil.
Represents representatives as well. Phil's going to be running a show. They just came from the convention in Phoenix, which I missed because I'm in Oregon. But he's very excited about some of the new stuff that's coming up, some new bonuses and ways that you can kind of almost restart your Legalshield experience, because I know if you're like me, you got excited about it, you signed up, and then you sat there for a couple months before you were inspired to take action. Well, they're kind of giving you a reset on that, and Phil's going to talk to you about that at 1:05. Guys, that call is so important to your business, especially if you use the service of Legalshield, that I've added it to the TNT replay page. So if you go to notarycoach.com/TNT, you just scroll all the way down to the bottom. You can click the join the Zoom call now. There's no registration, no BS. You just click the link and you'll be taken right into that call when it's active. These are short calls. It starts at 1:05. He's usually done in 15 to 20 minutes, maybe a little bit longer if there's a lot of long conversation, but it's definitely worth looking into, and Phil's a great guy, can help you out there. All right, Maura Contreras, thank you so much for being here and your patience. You want to unmute, tell everybody what state you're in and how we can help.
Hi, I'm from Illinois. So my question is regarding my seal, which I received last year. I'm using my legal name, which includes my middle initial, but recently I had my driver's license updated with the real ID, and the Secretary of State required me to use my full middle name because that is what is on my passport, my US passport. So my question is, now my seal does not match neither my driver's license or my passport. Do I need a new seal?
Good question, Laura. What's your take on this?
Your seal needs to match the name that you're using. Nobody else is going to ask for your ID, but to be in compliance for your own state in Illinois, your name on file needs to be the name on your seal, needs to be the name you're using in your certificate. It all needs to line up. So, I'd recommend that you get that updated so that it all matches.
Okay, just another expense. Any recommendations on, I'm trying to minimize my expenses. So I know there's tons of companies out there, but if anybody can put it in the chat, who should I use? Because I think
in Illinois, there's probably local places that can create your seal. And of course, I'm not looking at your Illinois statute at the moment. If there's any requirement that they are an approved list, check that first. If they're approved to create them, if there isn't anything, then you could go to Office Depot or whoever to create such a seal.
Okay.
Okay, and the NNA does create them. I don't know if that's where you got it the first time.
I did. Yeah.
And I know their seals are a little more expensive. They're guaranteed for the whole 4 years if they break. But if you're looking for something a little less expensive, I'd go with a local stamp maker.
Okay, great. Sorry if I have another quick question. So I recently had a newer signing agent reach out to me, just asking if he could shadow. I'm just wondering what everyone's thoughts are on that. I know that maybe it depends on the client and I would have to get their permission first, just to bring someone along with me. But I myself would not want someone else with my my notary. Just wondering.
Yeah. Great question, Maura, and I think you nailed it. Trust your gut on this one. Most people feel uncomfortable about it, even if they tell you they don't, because they don't want to look like the bad guy. So if you call and you ask for permission, oh, can I bring a buddy around, a trainee? They'll tell you yes, but they really are uncomfortable, especially if you're walking into their house with them. The other huge factor is the information security. We can't just be willy-nilly showing that off to other people. So it's shadowing. I can do it. Like, I've been able to find a way to do that with my clients in Phoenix when I have notaries that are criminally background checked. They have signings. There's this different environment in the office, the title company, everybody's agreeing to it. We're all on the same page. If you're doing that in person, there are always, I see it in the feeds in Facebook. I see people teaching it in YouTube videos. But there's a etiquette level that is being breached, and then there's a information security situation that is breached as well. So I would really avoid it. Jennifer, I'd love to hear your opinion on that. What do you think of shadowing in people's homes?
No. No, absolutely not. Sorry. I think it's an invasion of privacy. I think it's speaking to my area of expertise, which is the title company. That is not a question I would want to take to my title officer and ask, can I have someone shadow me so I can teach them? Absolutely not. It's just a layer of liability that they don't want to take on. And to be honest with you, and anybody that's on this call that knows me knows I'm very blunt about things. So to be honest with you, I think that can be a person's way of trying to get around doing the work that they need to do, the learning that they need to do. It's not there are no shortcuts, right? When you're a business owner, you've got to do the right thing and educate yourself. And copying someone else's style and script and all of those things that seem so easy if we could just get your hands on it, it doesn't make for an authentic experience for your customer. So I say no.
Yeah, excellent. That's a really really good point too. Where was I going to go with that? Well, also, I'll say something else instead. If you do get approached, that's what I was going to say, guys. Like, it's a human instinct to want that local mentor or somebody to shadow. Like, we want to step into it and we want to see it in action. But I assure you, there were thousands before I started the Sign and Thrive training, before Carol Ray started Notary to Pro, before Mark started LSS. There were thousands of loan signing agents that figured this out without shadowing, without mentors, without training, without books. You can figure this out. You just have to trust yourself on this. And now that you have all these other tools and resources, use them to build a foundation. But it always comes down to what Jen said: take action. You've got to figure this out on your own. You've got to do the work to get it done. And then if you ever do get, and this is for everybody, if you get solicited by somebody who's asking for mentorship or training or guidance, that is a mutual relationship. Just because somebody calls you and says, hey, I'd like to know this, and now you have to tell me, that's not how this works. Set up an interview or have a screening process. Mentorship can be tremendously rewarding, but it's a two-way street. It's a two-way relationship. Mentors and mentees have to be able to work together. So you want to see if you jive. Like, are you both committed to the same things? You have similar values. That's important. And I hear stories so often of misaligned values where they just come together. You're excited. You want to mentor somebody. You want to show them how great this business can be, but they've got other things going on. They have a different value system. So sometimes they just want to take the information and run. They want to take it and do something else with it. Or they want to take really good intentions and informations and use it for nefarious purposes. All of that stuff exists. So you want to do what you can, do your due diligence in the beginning of the relationship to make sure you're a good fit.
Can I add one thing? And that's
Please
just
do.
a tool. Whether they do it formally or they do it with somebody else, but mock signings are fabulous. That's one of the ways I help those who want to work with me. And I have a sample set of paperwork and I say, okay, you're the customer, I'm the notary, let me show you how I do it. And I walk through it with them. And now I say, okay, your turn. You've got the document. Why don't you present the deed to me? What would you tell me? Right. And I start doing that back and forth with them. So they kind of get, and I don't have to do 200 documents. You know what? 25 most common documents, plenty. And then I tell them now, you can go practice that with somebody else for the next 5 or 6 times. And then you will be feeling more confident when you go to the table. But that does mean the time spent doing that. You have to invest your time to do that. People pay me to do that with them. But if they don't want to pay to do that, they could do it on their own.
Excellent. Yep. Laura, thank you so much. Maura, that was a great question. You sparked a great conversation. I truly appreciate it. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you all.
All right. As we move into the last 10 minutes of today's show, I just want to also announce another event that's coming up next week. And this is Ronline 2021, put on by John Holder. He is a friend of mine. He's also one of our Sign and Thrive students, and he's the founder of ronuniversity.com. He has done incredible work on bringing all these technology platforms for remote online notarization all together to do demonstrations. He's brought experts in that are going to teach how to market yourself, how to cultivate relationships, talking about SEO, digital presence, all of that stuff. If you are interested in blending remote online notarization into your notary practice, you're not going to want to miss Ronline 2021. Starts next Monday, the 11th, I think that is. And it's a 5-day collection of presentations. And I'll be speaking, I think, on Friday. But there's a huge lineup of people that are showing up to present there. If you're interested in going, the tickets are free. So I'm going to post the link right inside the chat window. I'll send out the email follow-up. Many of you have already seen it and have already registered. If you want the recordings and if you want the transcriptions, he has an all-access pass. Select all-access pass, and I think it's $67 or something like that, and you get all the replays. For an extra $9, you get the actual typed out transcripts of those presentations. So I think that's an event that you're not going to want to miss this year. All right, let's jump into Soraya Davis. Soraya, thank you so much for being here. Always a pleasure to see you.
Hello, everyone. Quick question. How long should we hold on to digital copies of signed loan packages after closing? Do I hold on to it until I get paid? Or because I don't like holding people's personal information in my office. It makes me nervous. Even though no one's here but me, I still don't like it. So how long should we hold on to these documents? Thank you. The digital copies.
Great question, Soraya. And I know you're in California. We've got a chance to answer this a few times, Laura. I'm going to jump over to Jen and see what Jen says. Jen, how long do you hang on to client paperwork, document packages?
The truthful, honest answer to that is because I have been working only exclusively with title companies. It is not an issue. I haven't worked with a signing service in over 2.5 years, because I don't have to anymore. Yay me. So I don't have that issue. I can tell you what I did do, which was any copy package I deleted and got rid of immediately after I got the confirmation that it was received by the title company. I would always check the tracking. When you know, in a title office, I'm immediately getting things back to them if I'm going on a remote for them. Certainly if I'm doing it in their office, it's a non-issue. But I would say bottom line is, once you confirm through your tracking number that the title company has the information that they need, they've received it, I get rid of it. It's not something I want to keep. And they don't want you keeping it.
Right, exactly. Laura, do you have anything that you would add to this, or what's your policy?
No, I keep it just a little longer. When I get the check, I get rid of everything. So, but you could just be holding on to your confirmation, your email communications about the package. You don't need the actual documents. That would be plenty of support if you had to chase them later for your money.
I do keep the communication between the title company and myself. Obviously, in case something pops up later, but truthfully, you know, if you get the package sent back, they should have everything that they need. And I know a lot of signing services confirm that with the scan back anyway. That's why they do that, to make sure they can see before it gets sent to them that nothing is missing from that package. So,
yeah, the reason I usually don't do scan back work. So the reason I'm holding mine a little longer is if I get a call later that says, oh, you didn't do this document, you didn't notarize this, then I can go back to see, was that document in the package that they sent me in the first place? So that's why I do that. Once I'm paid, I know, okay, I'm pretty much done. It's very rare that I'm going to get a call about something. And it's not that I'm going to decide to, you know, it's your fault, it's my fault. I like to know. And then I can share, oh yeah, I see that wasn't there, but I'm happy to take care of that for you. Right? I'll make it right for you. But I do like to see if did I miss something?
Yeah.
A lot of times it's, I didn't miss something. And that's my confidence that says, yes, I know what I'm doing a good job, but you know what? I'll take one for the team. Let me make it right for you. So I'm not suggesting to hold it to say, hey, it's your fault and you need to pay me more. But no, I don't go down that path.
Excellent. Soraya, did that answer your question?
Yep, thank you.
All right, you got it. One thing that I'm going to add there too, because this was something I remember from Carol Ray whenever she was talking about this. She likes to save those documents for 30 days after her appointments, but she saved them on a little flash drive that was not connected to the internet. And so I think if you were to make the business decision to hang on to sensitive information like that, I think I would implement some kind of extra security to make sure that no one else could access those, because literally, guys, everything that a fraudster or somebody with nefarious intentions would need to steal an identity is in these document packages. All right. Thank you, Soraya. Rosetta Easley, thank you so much for being here, and thanks for your patience. Want to unmute, tell everybody what state you're in and how we can help.
Hi, everyone. I'm from Wilmington, Delaware, and I did put the question in the chat. I didn't think I was going to be able to get a chance because we were running a little.
I'm responding
here. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, it was to Laura. Hi, everyone. To ask Laura, when are you planning to do a symposium for Wilmington, Delaware? I have not. I do a lot of general notary work, but there's not too many people here in Delaware that I am finding that are doing the loan signing, or a lot of the notaries. I had to get something notarized myself. I went to another notary, and she used the what do you call the stamp, not the stamp, but the, you know, the little label thing, but it had to be faxed. So when I sent the fax over, they were not able to see it, like the seal.
Oh, okay.
The seal thing. Yeah, so they weren't able to see the actual seal on the fax. Right. So basically, I was really like kind of struck, running around trying to find another notary here in Delaware to do it. Because, you know, I can't notarize my own things, but I find that a lot of the talk that I see online, even with, you know, TNT, with the YouTube channels that I watch. As I said, I watch Miss Kimmy, and even for Legalshield, I've been talking with Phil. It's like a lot of those things are not here in Delaware. So I just wanted to start with asking Miss Laura, at least, and not to my knowledge, were you planning on doing something for the state of Delaware?
I am planning. First of all, Notary Symposium is for all 50 states.
Okay.
And we're covering information that would apply to all 50 states. Now, specific state training, I'm working through the states. And so here for everybody on the call, if you want your state, and I haven't done it yet, would you go to my website, coachmelaura.com, scroll to the bottom, and there's where you can put, I want my state done, because what I do is I look at the requests, and the more requests I have for a particular state, that state comes up sooner. So the answer is yes, I will do Delaware, but if I only have one that wants Delaware, it's going to be a while before I get to Delaware. I will do all 50 states.
Understood.
And then Rosetta, could I also just offer something?
Sure.
If you can't find it, other people might be looking for it as well. So you might be the person. Specifically talking about like notary events or a notary training or scheduling something that would get Laura to come out there or to zoom in or to encircle other people who have this maybe the hustle mentality that maybe you have, like, hey, let's grow some small businesses together. It doesn't always have to be just notaries, right? We are in the peripheral of real estate, but we also are in whatever industry we want. There's notarizations everywhere. So we can attract those people. Like, guarantee you guys, if you're looking for a community, a local community, and you can't find it, other people are looking for it too. But running one of those, it takes a certain something to start it and then to keep it going. But if you've got that gumption, if you've got that, start it.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's what I was thinking about, even with Phil. Phil, I don't know if you're on, but I've been talking to him quite a bit here about the Legalshield, but I've just been so busy with work because I work at the hospital with this COVID stuff. It's just like has taken over. But I'm really so wanting to just put that aside and just work on my business. And I just find like I just can't find anyone here in Wilmington, Delaware, or anywhere in Delaware that I would be able to connect with.
Yeah, I assure you they're out there. And if there's any way that we can support you, you know where to find both Laura and myself and Jennifer as well. So we're here for you. Okay.
Thank you guys so much. I so appreciate all the things that you guys are doing. I'm trying to stay up on everything here.
Right. Thank you so much. Glad you found us.
And happy belated birthday.
Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
All right.
Bye-bye,
Guys,
everyone.
we have time for one more question. Melissa Dominguez from California. Thank you so much for being here. What's going on? How can we help?
Fine. You surprised me. Okay. It's kind of going back to the Fidelity approved applications. I got invited by two companies. One I just did one job for, the other one I worked for a little bit, but they both came a day apart sending me the application. I was excited, and then afterwards I thought, well, wait, maybe it's a trick. They're trying to get my information or something. But I hear you guys talking about it. How can you find out if that's the case? Like if it's, well, it's a company you worked for, but I guess they just need you to be Fidelity approved.
Yeah, if these are relationships that you already have, then I mean, we still want to do a little due diligence. Is it really their email address? Is it really somebody I've worked with? They're just getting you. So there's two different tiers of Fidelity approvalness, right? So the first one is working under the umbrella of a signing company. So the signing company actually has the Fidelity approval. They run you through whatever the application process is that Fidelity requires for you to work under their umbrella, and then you're approved, but only with that company. And then you might have to do that with 3 companies. You might have to do that with 100 companies, whatever it might be. And then there's, I guess the best word is to say true Fidelity approval, where you get approved to work with Fidelity. It doesn't matter which company you might be working for.
From Fidelity themselves, they'll
right. And I guarantee you that Fidelity's not reaching out saying, hey, Why don't you get approved? You get an application, you get an application, you get an application, right? That's not how it's going to work. That's where you cultivate relationships with people who either work at Fidelity through their business development manager, or like Jennifer said, the vendor management, or you're at a networking event and you meet a Fidelity escrow officer and you strike up a relationship, and she helps introduce you to the business development vice president or vendor manager who gets you that approval.
Okay.
The only thing they will ask you to do is once a year, they're going to have you re-up your their disclosure. I can't remember the name of the document now. Do you know what I'm talking about? The
Yeah.
FNF doc, the Fidelity National Title document that comes in once a year. You have to sign off. It's like their disclosure, so they can keep that on file once a year. It's not really reapproval. It's just, and then of course you have to send your updated credentials when you get them.
Right, because that's the other thing, is your updated credentials have to go with it as well. Otherwise you kind of drop off.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They don't. Yeah. They don't need you.
They're not fighting for you, right? Exactly.
They're not fighting for anybody now.
Melissa, that was a great way to end the call. Thank you so much for that, because that ties right into Jennifer's specialty. Jen, thank you so much for.
Thank you guys.
Oh, hold on one second. Melissa looks like she's
one more
talking.
comment. I got a chance to sign up for the bank serve on the 1st, and I went through the whole process, and that was a Fidelity
Yep.
application in there also. So if you don't have like the whole 2 years experience, but you have experience in that, they might deny you, but then you apply again. Is it bad to get denied though?
I don't think it's bad. They say actually in the application process, if it's denied, you can reapply the next year because things might be different for you.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. Thank
I would never consider any risk in applying for anything as bad, Melissa. I think there's so many people that look at rules like on the applications, must have 2 years, must have 100 signings, whatever it is. And they hit that little bump in the road and they turn around and go home.
Yeah.
You know, that's a door you can kick down. I see it every single day. I see people who just are relentless. They're like, hey, I don't have the experience, but I'm going to be awesome. You need to hire me. And they just, it's like a squeaky wheel rule. And they build a relationship. They get to prove themselves beyond what that little rule on a piece of paper says. So I encourage you, no matter what, if you want this business to work, realize there's no rules in business. We have our notary rules, our notary laws that we have to follow. But when it comes to growing a business, there's no rules. This is human relationships. There's an exception for everything that we teach. Everything that we teach as a best practice, somebody else has done it differently and it's worked for them. That's the beautiful thing about this business. Take risks. All right. Thank you so much, Melissa. All right, Jen, thank you again. I really appreciate you carving some time out for us. This has been awesome. Laura, as usual, a pleasure. I'm looking forward to seeing you again in a couple days. And for you on the call, thank you. We had nearly 300 notaries on today's call. Thank you so much for growing yourself and your business on a Tuesday afternoon. This is how we raise the bar in this industry. And if you're going to hang out for Phil's call, he's going to start that in about 1 minute at 1:05 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you go to notarycoach.com/TNT, the Zoom link is all the way down at the bottom. It's really clear. It says join Zoom call here with Phil. And you can join that conversation on Legalshield as well. All right, guys, thank you so much. We'll see you next Tuesday.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.